Hi, ladies. How are you? Hi, Tomás.
Hello.
Hello, Maria.
Hello,
Hello, everybody.
everyone. Hello, Maria, Roger, hello, Thomas.
How are you? How was your week? For the new ones, did you survive?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, if you're still here, that means that. Bev! What a surprise! How are you? You're
Hi,
muted.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
So it's nice to see all faces that have gone for a while back. How is everything?
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we
Good.
will
Yeah.
catch up later.
Need to catch up. Yeah, I was going to say we'll catch up. Okay.
And the rest, how are
Good to
you?
see you.
Yes, Nessa, Josie, Raquel. How was your week? Good.
All good. All good. Thank you for asking.
Gergo is here.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Artemi can't find the link for the meeting, so I'm sorry. I'm going to send it to him. How is everyone? But Maria has already asked you, but how's everybody?
Sorry.
Who's no worries. Who's doing a long week? A long weekend, sorry.
If they are
Long
here,
weekend,
I
anyone?
guess that no one, no?
All right.
The ones
All
who are
right.
not here are taking the long weekend.
Bev.
It's Easter. It's Easter. Hi, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Nice to see you again. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, well, I'm here. I'm here. So
Are
nice to
are
see
you
you.
are you in England now, or are you back in Bulgaria?
I'm in Bulgaria, so it's Easter weekend here. It's a long weekend. It's Easter.
Easter week. Oh yeah, okay, because it's Orthodox, right? Yeah. All right. So you have it later.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Anything to share about classes this week? How were your classes? How are your students? New teachers. How did you find teaching with the Oxinity platform?
It's
Anything to
really
share?
nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Gradually, I'm getting to know more about it, so it's really nice platform.
Okay, that's cool to hear. Anyone else? Anything to share? Artemi arrived. Okay, super. A joke, maybe someone? Come on, people.
I've just got something just to not share, but just to comment with teenagers.
No.
I mean, I don't know who else has teenagers, but I've got one particular one. It's like pulling teeth. So it's it's really hard to get a reaction. And I know teenagers generally, they're not all like that. But when you have another student in the class, she really drags everybody down. So it's very hard, isn't it, with a group class? Because it's just one word answers and very hard to get something out of her. And then I feel sorry for the other student who's eager and keen to go. So I'm not really sure how to address that. When you got, one really sulky person who just does not want to be there. And I have commented, and so it's just something I would welcome any sort of suggestions.
Anyone. This is a good one, because it's something that I think many of us encounter from time to time, right? A person who doesn't really want to be there in the class. So anyone, do you have any suggestions to Bev? What would you do? What would you do with a teen in your class who's there but who's not there?
I think I think it happens more often than we would like with teenagers. But I think I mean I always try to focus on something that they are particularly into. Can I share one experience? I remember a teenage girl who was very much like that. She spent the whole time looking around, not paying any attention. And I found out that she was really interested in makeup and wanted to be a makeup artist. And so it's like, right, okay, pick up on that. And so I would ask her about what kind of makeup she liked, and she really came alive. But that could only happen if she was alone in the class. Obviously, if there's 2 teenage boys in with her, spending a lot of time talking about makeup wouldn't go down too well. So in my situation, it worked. But I think just try and pick on something that person is really, really into. Have you found out any hobbies? Have you found out any of her hobbies?
Yeah, she's a very girly girl. And then once I did mention makeup, and the next 10 minutes she got the mirror out, started looking at her hair, and I just thought, okay, let's talk about something else. It's okay one-to-one, but then you're deviating from the class. And
Yeah,
I think because with
maybe
adults,
sorry, we've got a delay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
obviously with teaching adults, they are there because they want to be there, obviously. But with children, their parents would like them to have a class,
Yeah.
and that's hard.
Is she happy to interact with the other students? Is she happy to interact with the other students if you get them?
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
No, she shuts. Yeah.
Oh, it's a difficult one. I'm not quite sure what to say.
Yeah, sounds like a heavy task.
Heavy
Tony,
duty. Yeah.
Tony, you want to share some?
Yeah, it might be simple and obvious, but just making sure you're using open questions, so you're eliciting more than that one word. And I mean, it may be obvious, you may be doing that already, but instead of "do you like this" or whatever, what do you like about it? Just a simple one, really.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that might work. Okay, thanks, Tony. Josie, something else?
So just to build on that, actually, because I think that works well. Something I've been trying recently also with kids that are a bit higher level, is getting them to ask me questions, because I think giving them a little bit of like, I don't want to say power feels too strong of a word, but giving them like an opportunity to be able to use the language and learn a little bit about you as well, but practice it through questions rather than just having to answer. Because I think sometimes they don't even know what to say. Like teenagers don't really think about the world like adults do. So they might not really know their opinions on stuff. But if they can ask you, then you can then model the language as well. And I think it just makes it a bit more fun for them. But again, they have to be a bit higher level, I think, to do that. You can't do that with sort of beginners, but I found they really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Thanks, Josie. And yes, is her level the teen's level? Yes. Is it good? I mean, is she able to express herself adequately?
Yes. When her English is very good, and I think her command of language is good, and she just doesn't want to be there. So it's when she talks, and when you get her to talk, and then she switches off, so
have you ever asked if she was bored? I mean
No,
that directly.
I dare ask that question. when she's not interacting, I have to move on to other activities, one activity was about cities, and that's the only time I've seen her really perk up. And she said, "Oh," I said, "which city have you been to?" "Oh, Los Angeles." And then she got her phone out, started showing me pictures. I said, "Okay, great." That was the most wow reaction I ever had from her. So, but then you're not actually following the class structure. You've got to be careful how you do that.
Yeah, and especially when there are other students, that's completely understandable that you can't do everything just for one student. Tricky situation. Well, let's you could try what Tony and Josie mentioned, and to spice it up for her, or open her up, basically, I think. And in the end, sometimes people just do not want to be there, and whatever, it's not going to change. It's a pity, but with teens, right? There's their parents told them that they need to be in a class, and they would like to be somewhere else. Doesn't matter where, but just not in front of the screen. and with that, it's very hard to. I was a teenager like that myself, so there were no online classes back in those days, but yeah, so it's like going to language classes was not my favorite thing in the afternoons. Jonathan.
Yeah, let me just make one question here. Is this girl learning?
She is learning on the topics that she's never come across. But I think a couple of weeks ago, I was literally asking myself, has she stopped learning? And then I thought maybe she goes to a higher level. But her whole attitude is a very teenagey attitude. So then I think I did make notes and say, maybe she needs to be a higher level. She wants something challenging.
Probably it's not the level. The question is she learning? Because maybe the attitude is like that, so there's no much you can do about it. So just keep on doing the class, and maybe she's there listening and she's learning. So she likes the way she is, so we don't have to change anyone. So she's there.
Okay.
As long as she's there, it's fine. So she will probably be learning. Now you can do something so she will have more, or the classes will be more appealing to her. Fine, just try it, but do what you're doing. Actually, I mean, for how long has she been in your classes right now?
For about 3 months.
Okay.
And I've read all the background. Yeah, I've read all the background notes about the other teachers who've taught her, and they have said she doesn't engage, and there's a lot of history there. So
something that would work. Yeah, something that would maybe concern me a little bit is change, right? So if that's a happy person and then all of a sudden she starts like being like that, then it's a problem. But if she already is like this, we accept it. I mean, then you give the class and probably she's learning something. I don't know. That would be my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
And also, like, if she's not disrupting the class directly, I mean, okay, it's not nice to have a student who's not really engaging, and the other students other students want to learn or to do the tasks, but there's not much you can do about that. So it's you ask them questions, they answer the questions the way they want to, and that's it. So yeah, what Jonathan mentioned is really also like, if she's there just to listen, and by listening she's picking up certain things what she doesn't know, that's already a win-win situation for both student and us teachers in the end.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, great.
All right. This was a really good starter instead of jokes for today.
Sorry, I couldn't do a joke.
No. But this is an important. This is a really important thing, and also I think for all of us sometimes this happens. So it's worth to see what others would do and what we could do to address the problem. And in the end, Jonathan's comment, I think it's also a kind of reinforcement to understand that we can't always do something, and even more, we shouldn't always do something. So sometimes we just need to take things as they are, and then move on with our work and do what we can do otherwise with the other students, and go on with the class. So yeah, we have our barriers, right? We are not in a classroom. We are not there to morally or teach them or improve their mood or attitude. It's 30 minutes English learning, and that's it. That's what we focus on. So thanks. Yes, it was a good question to discuss to start with. Okay, now before we move to the part in which we talk about activities, a few things relate think back to what we discussed a couple of weeks ago about classwork attitude from the part of the teachers. There were two things came to our attention, and one is the use of headsets or at least earphones from the part of the teachers when you are conducting classes. So it would be important for us teachers to use a headset or at least an earphone or something when we do the classes. It's just, of course, the audio, our audio will get better, so the students can understand us better. But also for us teachers, it will be much easier for you to follow what the students tell you and what the students say in the class. So it's important. Again, well, I'm not sure. I think it's not in our contract that it's compulsory to wear headphones. Maybe in the future it will be for this reason, but it's something to pay attention to. And another thing about classroom attitude is your background. Unfortunately, on our platform, you cannot blur out your background, or you cannot choose choose an alternative background. We see what, or the students see what's behind us. So please try to make sure that if the bed is behind you, then you make the bed before you start the class, and perhaps also try to pay attention to having a static background. Of course, if your kids walk into the room abruptly or something, that's, you can't control that or every once in a while, but being in a garden when kids are playing behind you, or your spouse or partner doing the dinner behind you, that might be a little disruptive for the whole classroom. So try to pay attention to this. Of course, sometimes we do not have other option, right? Because that's the only place what we can take. But let's try to pay attention to these things, headphones and background. Yeah. All right. So having said all this, let's talk about the product then, the product itself. It was nice to see that in the past weeks, more and more of you join the Wednesdays and Thursdays workshops in which we collaboratively work on complementary works, right? Which is the main way to improve our product as the content of our product. Let's put it this way. To start this dialogue with, I would like to share a few pictures about an activity we worked on a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, I'm not sure. And firstly, I will show you the original state of this activity. It's a very old activity. It was in my database. It wasn't a complementary work, so for this reason, you can't see the level of the activity, but it's like it's a P2 activity, which is as you can see, it's about the verb can. Jonathan, you raised your hand.
No.
Okay. No. For me, it was saying that your hand is up, but no.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Okay. Thanks. So as you can see, this is an activity about can in affirmative, interrogative, and negative form, right? So very important that when you build this activity, when you work on this activity, you pay attention to this part. This is the part which the algorithm takes into consideration. When you give the green face or the red face, this is the part what you are rating. This is what the students need to consolidate with this particular activity. And that's very important when you are correcting an activity, and not just when you are correcting, when you are teaching the activity, and at the end of the class you are giving these smiley or unhappy faces. This is what you need to pay attention to. Did my students understand this? Did my student or can my students work with this independently without problems? And then you can give a green face. Now, originally, before we started working on it, there were only two attachments: a pictures attachment and a number one. I can't. We will see. What was the title? Oh, okay. Now it's called Present. I don't remember what was the original title. But so this was the first attachment. These sentences, no instructions whatsoever, nothing to tell the teachers what to do with this. The teachers tab was empty. And so this is where you started with. This was the first thing to share with the students. And then you went on to this attachment, the pictures, which looks like this. I didn't make a screenshot of the third one, but basically this was everything. So this is where you started. I mean, this was the info for the teachers. This is the first attachment. The second attachment, and sorry, I forgot that for the second attachment there were instructions for the teachers. Basically, these are the same sentences, exactly the same sentences as they were in the first attachment for students, and very simple, tasks, let's say, to work with it. Now, before we go further, we are also going to see what we did together with it. But let me ask you, and please take a few seconds of consideration. How many stars do you give to this activity? It's very important. How do you rate this activity? How many stars do you give this activity? You don't need to raise your hand, or raise your hands if you want, guys, but how many stars would you give to this? Anyone? Go ahead. Catherine, we can't see you. Well, we can see you, we can't hear you, sorry.
I'm just saying about 3 or 4. I think the language is quite good. You could drill it quite nicely. Perhaps the vocabulary and the pictures need to they can be divided onto 2 screens. So you can practice the one half and then practice the other half. Like the
really important what you are saying.
Affirmative, and then do the interrogative and negative forms on a separate page.
Yeah,
I think the language is quite good, and at least you've got the pictures there, so you've got your visuals.
Okay, very, very important what Catherine just said is that it looks like nothing, right? Because we at Oxinity, fortunately, nowadays we are really getting used to having a much better layout, much more instructions, but as a bottom line, as a teacher, you can work with this. You have here the affirmative form, you have here the negative form, the interrogative is missing. That's a problem because on the P2 level, the inversion for the students is not entirely clear, so you need to show that inversion in writing most of the time, so you make them understand. But on the other hand, you have here example sentences, and you have a bunch of pictures to work with. And actually the pictures relate to the sentences. I mean, like they really follow the pattern of the sentences. So it gives you the opportunity to actually practice, and this is the important part. It gives you the opportunity to practice this. And that's what really counts when you are giving the stars, is that how apt the activity is to practice the subcontext of this particular thing. It looks crappy, okay, but you can do the job with it, and that's why the stars are for. It's very important to understand, because oftentimes we see or we receive a complementary work which looks like, okay, and what should I do with it? And that's holding up the entire system of corrections. It means that someone receives a complementary work for which they are, by the way, for which they are going to get paid for, and they have nothing to do with it. So it's lost effort, right? That teacher who receives that complementary work, they would need to go through each and every attachment, review everything again, and then 5, 10, 15 minutes spent on reviewing something which was actually okay, but perhaps a student didn't like the content, or the teacher didn't like the pictures, and so on and so on. So this is really important to keep in mind. Okay, Catherine said 3-4 stars. Anyone else? Josie.
I would say, yeah, 3 star. You're going to ask me. Yeah, because so on the stars, it kind of says underneath a little label, and that's acceptable. And I would say this is acceptable because you can use it, but it needs some work on it. It needs better formatting. It needs to be able to, it needs to be easier to use and to look better. But the looking better is what makes it easier to use as well. So.
Yeah, and this is also what Josie mentioned here. It's also, again, really important and helpful, is that if you hover your arrow, the cursor over the stars, you will see like 1 star, very bad or really bad, I don't remember, 2 stars, bad, 3 stars, acceptable, 4 stars, good, 5 stars, really or very good, right? So this is acceptable because you have content to work on this. Everything below 3 stars has a problem with working with the subcontext. That's when you give less than 3 stars. Of course, if you have a vocabulary exercise where you rely on the pictures, and the pictures are very bad, so you can't use the pictures to introduce or to present the content, then it's not acceptable because you need the pictures with it. Tony, please.
Thanks. Just a question. At what point does it go back into the system then? Does like everything 3-star and lower go back in and be looked at?
Yeah. Yes. So everything that is 3 or below goes back to the system, and even eventually 4-star activities should all go back to the system as well. Now this system is being remodeled because the activities will be manually sent to corrections, meaning there will be a person checking the activities which are going to be used for the coming weeks, and then it's going to be handpicked to really set up a ranking, like a priority list, which activities need to be corrected first and which second, because the algorithm can only make a sum of all the stars that an activity received in a given period. Now, of course, those activities that are used more, for example, pronunciation activities that go into more classes or certain structure activities that go into more classes, they are rated more times therefore they get higher on the priority list, but it's not always that they actually really need corrections. So that's why we decided to work manually on this until we have an algorithm that understands it better, or we have a better way to organize the prioritizing of activities to be corrected. So it's very important you understand this starring system. Also, if you choose to remove an activity or recycle an activity from your class, there is an option, like you can tick the box other, and then you can give your comments. It would be nice if you gave your comments. Why did you recycle that specific activity? Of course, in certain cases, it's very obvious, really. If it's only one attachment, then you take missing attachments, and then it's okay. If you have a French activity in a Spanish class, then it's wrong language, and you tick the box, and it's okay. But otherwise, it would be nice if you told the system some more about your decision, what your problem was with the activity. And whenever you leave your comments, whether it's in the teacher's notes, in the activity notes, in the notes section here, please leave your name, because we increasingly see notes from many people. I don't know, or maybe it's only one person. I have no sorry, I have no idea, but without name. So sometimes it's not for how to say. It's not that we or anyone would like to how to say question your decision, but it's asking about it. Okay, why did you say that? Because sometimes it's not clear. The notes are not entirely, like, for the next teacher, it's not entirely clear why someone said what they said, that particular thing. And if the name was there, then it's very simple. Each and every teacher can send a message to that teacher who left the note that, hey, I see that you said you say that this activity is only about pictures, but look at the teacher's notes. There are example sentences and everything is there. Have you seen that? So it's actually a communication within the community, within the group, which makes our work easier. It's not that we need to keep, or we want to keep files, who said what and whatever. It's more about really having a good workflow and making it possible to work together more effectively. All right. Now, anyone else? 3 stars, 4 stars? Is there anyone who would give less than 3 stars to this particular activity? Of course, no one will say that after having spoken about it. Georgina, go ahead.
I would give it less stars.
Okay, and why?
Because I would have to say too many things to the student to have them do what I want him to do. I think there's too many sentences at the beginning. There should be a clear 1, 2, 3 positive, negative question. There would be more of a present the model so they understand it. Just having random pictures on a screen without any reference to them. What do they have to do? How? Which picture? When? So for me, it's not, we could work with it, I'm sure, but it's not easy to use. It's not a disaster. It's not a disaster, but it could be made way easier to use.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes the flow go slower, because you have to struggle a bit more to explain, no, but look here, but like there, but wait, but here, but wait. It's the content, but to use it wouldn't there's other ways to make it even easier to use and comprehensible for the student as well.
Mhm,
I mean,
okay.
here, what do they have to do? Do they have to read? Do they have to listen? Do they have to repeat? Do they have to
Teachers need
answer?
to find it out
Where's the
themselves.
positive?
Yeah.
Where's the negative? Where's the question? Where? So it could be made more obvious.
Okay, okay, good arguments. And then, so it's not 3. How many stars would you give?
Well, I would give it 3 because you can work with it. And if not, I would give 2 stars or 1 to absolutely everything I do. So that would collapse the system. But okay, if I can use it, it's 3. But honestly, I would give it 2 because it's not a disaster. It's not like, what is it? So I would give it 2. And this is the case. This is the case where I would not be showing some of these slides, and I would be using the chat box to model, and I would be using the chat box to teach. This is one of those cases.
And which slide wouldn't you show? Because
one, for example.
there were only 2, the sentences, and then you have a
This one.
it was a long slide with 8 pictures, and all pictures show the actions, or they are related to the sentences, each of them. So read or write on the blackboard, use a makeup, not speaking, learn the alphabet, learning, and so on and so on. So all pictures were related to the sentences.
But I wouldn't show this one.
Mhm.
I would have one step before.
Mhm.
There's a step that goes before that.
Okay, okay, okay. Thanks, Jonathan.
Actually, what I like about Georgina's comment is what we actually do. It's evolution, right? So, for instance, this activity maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago was kind of like 3, maybe 4. I don't know. Now, with the evolution that we have, we know that we have to improve this. Now, so if we know that we have to improve this, maybe at the beginning it was rated 3 or 4. Now, yeah, it could start to be given 2s. Now the system will know that there's something that we have to go and do about it, right? Because of probably the evolution that we have had so far. So we have to pay attention to what we are saying among us, and then we have to improve this, which I love it.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, good. Again, it's aligning with what Georgina has just said. That okay, it's acceptable in the sense of you can use it in a class and you can teach with it, but perhaps it's not perhaps, for sure it does not meet our standards, what we have nowadays and what we are setting up. Yeah, okay, cool. Now, anyone else? Anything to add? Before?
Oh, sorry, Georgina. Do you want to go? I'll be quick. So, because it's when we're thinking about standard as well, we have to remember that it's not just about the standard that we want to give from our community, but also the standard of our competition. And the standard out there is high for activities now. So we have to keep up with them, otherwise people aren't going to want to learn with us. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
So as that is,
Yeah.
yeah, super important, Josie. Thanks. Yeah. Georgina, back to you then.
I know this might be difficult, but this is a book, right? Just imagine this is a book for students and teachers, I guess, right? So by the way, all instructions there would be for students. So imagine you have a book and you see this on one page and that on the other page. What do you think? Because I know this is like the digital, whatever, online support, and you might feel you don't know, but you do know. Imagine you had a book and you show this to a student and then you show that. How do you feel about it? And I think we could start putting ourselves in that perspective so that we understand better what has to be done. It's not what we want you to do. I was talking to Zoe about this. No, it's what has to be done. So sometimes looking at it from another angle, okay, all right, so maybe it's not a screen. Okay, but what do the students see? And imagining it as it is, a book, maybe could help all of us understand going to that, what did Jonathan say? Evolution, yeah. Going that step a bit further now. it could be a good exercise to help us understand it better and have a better, wider understanding of what it should be. So thought of that.
Yeah. All right. All right. Now, because so many of you commented and pitched in with different ideas and really different angles, which I think it's really important that we can express these different thoughts and everything what was said, I think has its truth and its place in this discussion. Now, then, what would you do with it if this was a complementary work for you? Where would you start? Let's see that. So Jonathan, if I may ask, don't kill me, but
Sure.
What would you do with this? So you say that this is 2 stars. What would you do to make it 3?
For me, I would always start with the visual. Because if you have a visual, then it's much easier. For instance, what Georgina was saying is that, okay, you have all this list of these sentences here, so what do I do with this, right? Which, for me, it's not about creating a nice book, but we don't have to forget that the purpose of this is for students to learn, right? So yes, we think about students, okay, so what can we make teachers have so it's easy for them to go and teach students? So for me, I would go to the other attachment, the visual one, okay? So I would start working on that. So can I go with this? And probably it's too long and maybe it's not that nice. So I would give this priority to start with.
Oh, yeah, thanks. So you would organize the visual part, especially the pictures with which you can work. Yeah,
and
all
actually,
right.
yeah, and probably, I mean, if this is for a student and for teachers, then if there's something I can do so people can understand from this one what to do, that would be an improvement. Okay, so I would start working with this and then relate it to the sentences or something. So what can I do so students will know exactly what to perform?
Okay. It's unfortunately we didn't reach that part of the corrections. So
okay.
actually the pictures are the ones that are still missing. But yeah, okay, important point. So it should be, if I can, like in this what you have just said, I understand 2 things. Is that it has to be visually nice and easily recognizable, easily understandable. There should be a clear structure of what to do with the pictures, not just pictures themselves, right?
Exactly. So probably if you have a picture that it's something obvious, that something that you cannot do, right? So that's a way to proceed. So it's like, all right, so I showed this picture, so probably people will know exactly what they cannot do. Okay, so it's going to be like easier for students to understand.
Okay, so the visual aid part should be much stronger, right? That the visuals which are aiding your teaching and the learning curve, that should be much stronger.
For me, yeah.
Okay, really good. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. I think Myrna, you were the first to raise your hand, and then Catherine.
So yesterday, I remember, or was it yesterday or Wednesday, when we went through this working with all this information, you said there needed to be a format that was followed, right? Intro, present, practice, and then produce. So I don't think that, is this what this pictures is? Is this the production stage? Then it would be different.
This would be the produce. Yeah, this would be the last part. Yeah, exactly.
But then they're not producing anything that's original, isn't it? They're just reproducing what was there just now in the sentence format.
Yeah, all right. Then now this is what you are saying here is a little So to understand it, or to put it simply, so in the produce phase, it's working independently with the structure. It doesn't mean that you are not using the same vocabulary that was used before. This is a structure exercise. We are not teaching vocabulary here. Furthermore, level. So if they have this kind of connection, what they practiced before, and then they have visual references to those sentences that they practiced before, it will make the life of the students easier, so to say, so they can focus on learning the structure of can, and that only. And that's very important, especially with the low-level exercises, that we focus on one thing what we are teaching, especially here with low levels, because they miss the necessary vocab. They often struggle with the inversion of questions, right? So they, especially Spanish speakers, they would say I can instead of can I, right? So this is something what we need to reinforce, sometimes even on a low P3 level, which is again debatable, but we are not getting into that now. But so having pictures that they can relate to, because they already read about them in sentences, that helps them, right? Because in the end, like, can I wear makeup? I can't wear makeup. Can I speak English? I can't speak English. Can I learn English? And so on and so on. So here, what they need to learn is the can.
All right. So in this produce phase, we'd put an instruction on the top, and it's create sentences with can, can't.
Mm-hmm.
Would be something like that. Like that. Yeah, exactly. Or if you use pictures that contain new vocabulary, and maybe if we have time later, I will quickly show something like that, then you add the extra vocabulary under the pictures. So if it's about doing the laundry, right? For instance, then the phrase doing the laundry should be written to them, so they don't need to think about how to say doing the laundry. How do I say the washing the clothes? So this is the thing. With high levels, it's a completely different thing, because they should have the background and the info, what they can combine to actually create the sentences with using the structure independently, whatever we are teaching to them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mirna. Catherine, you had your hand raised as well.
Yeah, I'm about to go to class, but I would say, talking about the structure that we've just been talking about, when you do your introduction and, well, you present your information, you need to give the information. So perhaps the first slide needs to be positive, negative, interrogative, so you can kind of cover that right at the beginning. And then you can divide the pictures into the different screens. Would be because then at least the student has a visual picture of what the lesson is going to be about. So you would put a chart on the front thing, and you can make it use colors or whatever it is at the top, and then just so that the students know what they're going to be practicing right from the beginning. So you're kind of setting the stage. A suggestion.
Now, in my understanding, what you were laying out with these words or sentences, that's the present phase. That's attachment number 2. When we show the structure, show the or where students see what structure are we practicing, right? What's the affirmative, what's the negative, and what's the interrogative? Yeah, exactly. So they have a.
So sorry, the introduction is a picture normally. From a lot of the materials I've seen, from a topic.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's the topic, not the.
No. With all of them, I actually consciously held it back until now because I really wanted to hear. I was curious that what you have to say about this particular topic, because this really is the let's use the word soul of the product. What's put into this kind of how to present the knowledge, how to present the actual content, what we would like students to understand, and what we would like students to understand within 10 minutes, because that's also a key factor here, right? You can't spend 5 minutes on making students understand what you are talking about. If it's 5 minutes, then you only have 5 minutes left for the practice part. So it should be really directly clear from the very beginning of the exercise, of the activity, what are you talking about and what are you going to focus on and what are you going to practice in the coming 10, 11, say 13 minutes, depending on your class flow and depending on the class in which you are. Okay, very good question, Catherine, or a comment as well. Georgina, please.
Yeah, this made me think, I don't know, these past months, these activities are like micro doses in a way that not because there's more material are they going to learn more or is it going to be better? And maybe it's like, hey, just something simple, but they can really get and they can really consolidate. And I remember, I don't know the exact phrase, but Jonathan always says, if it's not simple, then it's not clear, or I don't know the phrase, but he says, if it's not simple, it's not going to work, or keeping that in mind, I said, oh, but this is too easy for the students. And I said, no, it's doable. And the fact of giving them maybe these little bits of micro doses of Lexis or whatever, it's easier, not easier, but it's more, I don't know how to say it, like more guaranteed that they're going to absorb the content. I don't know. Not making it complex is not going to make it better. Making it longer is not going to make it better. Making it trickier is not going to make it better. Why not? Here's the structure, copy it, reproduce it, boom, that's it. So every time I do some complementary work, I keep that in mind. It's a micro doses, of course, in 10 minutes, and it works.
Yeah, and it's red face, red face, red face after the third or fourth class, green face, next one. It's actually the thing. And yeah, it works. Josie, please go ahead.
That's it, exactly what Georgina said and what you said, and the repetition, because they will do this again, not just in this activity, but in other activities, because they'll get asked questions using Can and they'll have to answer using it. So remembering that we're just exposing them to the language and getting them to practice it, but they will be able to do it again and again, and that's how you learn a language naturally. So yeah,
that's it. Yeah, thanks Josie. Jonathan?
Yeah, I really like this exercise here, and actually with the Can thing, and I love this way of presenting attachments in like 4 attachments, like presenting or like the intro presenting practice in pictures, as you can see here down below. But as Georgina said, we have to make it very simple. Okay, so the simple idea that we can have, the better. Now, once we have the simple idea, then we can go for the intro, the present, the practice, and the pictures. So for me, in this case, the simple idea of micro practice or micro doses here would be, imagine like these 2 images, like water and an airplane. Okay, so then you can go and present that like in a sentence of, can you bring water into an airplane from outside, actually? So okay, so that could be an introduction, or maybe another picture would be like somebody shouting or speaking, and I don't know, and another image of someone or a movie theater. Okay, something like that. So now that I have it very simple, so I can start making questions, and actually students can go and make some questions, okay? Now that I want to end up producing this, okay, now I can go for the intro, I can go for the presentation of what we're going to be doing, like maybe the inversion thing, so I can explain, okay? But I would go to this simple idea that we're going to be doing in 10 minutes this, and we will check if students know how to invert and how to make questions in negative and positive and using can. That's it. Once we have this very clear, then all 4 attachments can be done.
This with this now this is very hard to achieve in a way how you presented it. It's very hard to achieve with our complementary work system because teachers are working independently. So there should be a kind of model, like a kind of sequence which teachers can follow, because we are not sending messages to each other that, hey, now you are going to work on this. So it's kind of tricky. On the other hand, it's up to us to constantly improve and develop the process of correcting, to find the best way to put this philosophy and this idea into the improvement practice. This is the thing here, because yes, pictures super important because they speak for themselves. So this is where we started. A picture, she can swim, a very, very simple sentence, right? Yeah, speaks for herself. It speaks for itself, sorry. What do you ask from the students? Right? It's important to help your fellow teachers have the questions ready. So the teachers do not need to come up with those questions. The questions are over there. Simple questions relevant to the entire topic, and there you go. This is the intro phase, right? This is where you start the whole thing with. Then we go to the part which Georgina mentioned. We have a very clear presentation of the structure itself. What we were talking about, and eventually we decided to have so many sentences because we wanted to have them with all the subject pronouns, because on the P2 level sometimes it's not like, you know, for example, the verb to be you conjugate, the verb to do you conjugate in the third person singular form. Can you don't conjugate, and this is visually here. You can show them that, look, it's the same, right, for all cases. So this is where you present the grammar. This is where you engage first with the students, showing that, okay, she can swim. Can you swim? I can swim. Can you swim? I can speak English. Can you speak English? And so on. So this is very simple. And to be honest, the can you bring water on an airplane? It's a good one, but for P2s, maybe it's a little too hard. Perhaps because they're onboarding and so on, but doesn't matter. Okay, good. So again, very simple explanation to the teachers, what to do here. Okay, explain the meaning. We can use if they need to understand what the verb can is about. So you give your fellow teacher a very simple sentence explaining the meaning of the verb can. Also important, because imagine that someone asks you, how do you explain can? And sometimes, and it might not come so easily, especially if you want to speak to low-level students. So you need to be easygoing with the kind of words you mention. Mark came up with the idea to use the word ability, because this is something that Spanish speakers will understand as a cognate. The majority of our students are still Spanish speakers, so let's put it over there for your fellow teachers who are not in a Spanish-speaking spoken country or whatsoever, and it works perfectly in classes with Spanish speakers. I think with other my other languages might understand it as well. Have students to ask each other about what they can and can't do. A little task to be done. We won't have time to cover why is it here, but just to go quickly further, this would be the practice phase. We give them 2 simple tasks to do. One, finish the sentences. It's kind of gap fill exercise, and the other one where they actually need to combine the pronouns and the actions and the contexts, and they can make sentences in affirmative, negative, and interrogative form. So this is where they actually apply the knowledge to sentences. And then the 4th phase, and then we are going to look at that next week, because it's not ready and because it's past 12. But then the 4th phase will be the pictures. And actually, Raquel has also sent some really nice pictures to put into here. So we are going to complete it. And then next week, I would also like to mention a few words about why do we have this here and how would we like you to work when you are correcting this activity, because we spent approx 40-45 minutes to complete everything here, and you won't have that time, and it's not expected from anyone here to work this much when you are doing a complementary work. That's why we compartmentalize it. You are going to work on one attachment, and that attachment needs to be ready to go, ready to be used within our standards. And that's the way we see in front of us at the moment. Okay, now, again, I can't thank you enough for having these comments today, because this is really starting to seem like an actual conversation when people share their ideas, knowledge, experiences, pitch in with new things. Let's try it out. Maybe not like that, but this is very important what we are doing here, because this is like an improvement of our product, which is right, is key for all of us and all of our businesses. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for listening, and have a nice weekend. Long or short, whatever. See you next time. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.